Welcome to Spring Powered South African Air Gunner. Today is the second Blackboard series and we are going to be taking a look at how scope height can affect your trajectory. Right, so we're going to take a look at the blackboard here and I'll start jibber-jabbing. Alright, so we know that the trajectory of an air rifle is a parabolic graph. So I'm going to draw that first and then I'll explain what I'm doing. Alright, so that's massively over exaggerated to scale, but that is what we're going to work with. Now we know that our scopes are slightly canted downwards at the front, and if that is not true, then we won't have any points of intersection. Because if the scope was exactly in parallel with the gun, then your barrel would be here and you would shoot a projectile and it would go like that. Where are the points of intersection? There aren't any. So we know that this is totally out. And it doesn't matter if you max out your adjustments to go down, you won't get an intersection. Watch. No. 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 So it can't be that. Right, so now that we know we simply cannot have a gun that's barrel is parallel to its scope, we can move on. So the barrel is slightly angled up or the scope is slightly angled down. Different manufacturers do it differently with different air guns. I know this Walther Century's barrel is actually angled up, and that's quite easy to do because they just modify the breech of the gun so that when it clips up, it actually moves up a tiny bit. But different manufacturers, such where there's under levers or things like that, the barrel may still be slightly angled up, but more would be that the grooves in the receiver actually go deeper, and thereby your scope is a tiny bit lowered in front than behind. I've seen that getting done as well. So we are going to take a look at how scope height changes your point of intersection. There's your barrel of the gun. And that is your scope. This is your line of sight. Alright, so now when we move our scope adjustments up, we're moving the first point of intersection closer to the rifle, and the second one will thereby be going further out. So now we've maxed out adjustments on the scope and we've just gotten to there. As you can see, we are getting a little bit more range from maxing out our adjustments, but that's not going to give us 150 or 200 meters. And although you will not probably be shooting at that range with an air rifle, depends on if you have a larger caliber such as 30 or 45 caliber, you'd actually want to get that because you're able to. So but for a 177, about 120 yards is where things really get shady, and it's only a very few guns that can actually accomplish great groupings at about 120, 130 meters in 177. So what happens when we change the scope height? Scope is still angled at the same angle, but it's now further up. So what's going to happen is that. Now we have the point of intersection further along than our original scope mounts, but yet it's hitting further out. Yes, exactly. It's confusing, but stick with me. Now, if we max out our adjustments on a higher scope mount, we will be getting this. And that will give you the desired 120, 100 meters quite easily. There are different ways to accomplish this though. FX actually makes an adjustable scope mount, which is incredible, and it actually allows you to tilt the scope up or down or do whatever the hell you want with it, and it gives you that range. I know a lot of the bench rest guys like to use it because the scope is, how you adjust the scope is you basically have two rings, and this is the outer scope body, and the inner scope body is called an erector tube. Yeah, I know, but that's its technical term, is an erector tube. So when you adjust the scope, your knobs are on here, and there are springs that actually hold the erector tube in the center. So when you adjust it, you're pushing this further to this side, and when you're pushing it down, you're pushing it further to this side. So what happens is this spring actually gets compressed so much that it can't go anymore, and it places strain on the erector tube, and that can cause your scope to jump around and will give you massive inaccuracies in the field. So by adjusting the whole scope, then you don't have to run out of adjustments, and you can be comfortably in that range where the erector tube sits quite close to center. So just a quick recap, we know that our trajectory is parabolic. Why do we want higher scope mounts? To get to further ranges. This also helps to flatten out the curved down range, but that's for a whole different video and for a whole different reason. So yeah, if you have any more comments and questions about this, please link them down below and I'll be sure to try and get back to you on those. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching Spring Powered South African Ergoner, and I'll see you next week.